Hazel has worked for 3 years as assistant to Ryan, a cold billionaire CEO who never says thank you and treats her like a robot. When their private plane crashes in a remote forest, they're forced to survive together with no rescue in sight. Over 3 days of battling injuries, hunger, and freezing rain, Ryan finally opens up about the tragedy that made him so cold, and Hazel sees the broken man behind the ice. As they fight to stay alive, hatred turns to understanding, then attraction, and finally love. What Ryan confesses on the third night changes everything forever. Will they survive? Will Ryan finally tell Hazel his darkest secret? And can love really grow in the middle of a disaster? Watch until the very end, because what happens in that cave will absolutely shock you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss our emotional stories. The plane was shaking violently. Hazel gripped her seat as alarms blared through the cabin. Her long blonde hair whipped around her face as the aircraft tilted dangerously. Across from her sat Ryan Cooper, her boss of 3 years. His jaw was clenched, his knuckles white as he gripped the armrests. For the first time ever, she saw fear in his cold eyes. Hazel had hated this man for 3 years. 3 long years of working 14-hour days, missing birthdays and holidays, being treated like she didn't exist. But in the next 72 hours, everything would change. He would save her life. She would see him cry, and neither of them would ever be the same again. The pilot's panicked voice crackled through the speakers. "Brace for impact!" The plane hit the ground hard. Metal screamed. Glass shattered, then everything went black. When Hazel opened her eyes, pain exploded through her body. Her head was pounding, her shoulder felt like it was on fire, and she could smell smoke mixed with pine trees. "Hazel, Hazel!" Strong hands were shaking her. Through blurred vision, she saw Ryan's face inches from hers. His perfectly styled hair was a mess, blood dripped from a cut above his eyebrow, and his expensive suit was torn. But his eyes, those cold, emotionless eyes she knew so well, were filled with pure terror. "Can you move?" His hands were checking her arms and legs, surprisingly gentle. "I think so. What happened?" "We crashed." Middle of the forest, the pilots didn't make it. Hazel's blood turned to ice. They were alone, completely alone in the wilderness. Ryan helped her out of the wreckage carefully. Her white fitted shirt was torn at the shoulder and stained with blood. Her black skirt had a huge rip up the side. One of her heels was missing. The plane had crashed in a small clearing surrounded by thick forest. Trees stretched endlessly in every direction. The sun was setting, turning the sky orange and red. "Do you have your phone?" Hazel asked, trying not to panic. Ryan pulled out his cracked phone. No signal. Hazel checked hers. Same. "The emergency beacon," Ryan said suddenly. "Every plane has one." They searched desperately through the smoking wreckage. Ryan found it crushed under a collapsed seat. When he pressed the button, nothing happened. It was completely destroyed. "So what do we do?" Hazel felt tears burning her eyes. Ryan looked at her, really looked at her, maybe for the first time in 3 years. "We survive together. Help will come, but it might take days. We need shelter, water, fire. Together." Hazel laughed bitterly. "You can't even stand to look at me most days." Something flickered across Ryan's face. Pain, guilt. "Hazel, I just don't." Save it. As darkness fell, Ryan built a shelter using pieces of the plane and branches. Hazel watched in surprise. This man who couldn't get his own coffee was now gathering wood, building a fire, organizing supplies. He had found an emergency kit with bottled water, protein bars, a first aid kit, matches, and a thermal blanket. "That cut on your head needs cleaning," Hazel said as the fire crackled to life. "I'm fine. You're bleeding everywhere. Sit down." Maybe it was the shock, or maybe he was just too tired to argue, but Ryan actually sat. Hazel used water and gauze to clean the wound on his forehead. Her fingers were gentle as she worked, her long blonde hair falling forward as she focused. In the firelight, Ryan watched her face. Really watched her, perhaps for the first time. "You're good at this," he said quietly. "My mom is sick. I've learned to handle medical things." Her voice was hard. "Not that you would know. Or care." Silence stretched between them. "I'm sorry," Ryan said. Hazel's hands froze. "What did you just say?" "I'm sorry about your sister's birthday today." "About a lot of things." Hazel stepped back, confused and angry. Ryan apologizing? Was this some kind of joke? That first night they shared the thermal blanket, sitting on opposite sides of the fire. The forest was alive with strange sounds. Animals moving in the darkness, whined through trees, distant howls that made Hazel's skin crawl. "What was that?" she whispered, moving closer to Ryan without thinking. "Coyotes, probably. The fire will keep them away." "How do you know so much about survival?" Ryan stared into the flames. "My father used to take me camping, before everything fell apart." Hazel wanted to ask more, but his face had closed off again. Still, it was the most personal thing he'd ever shared with her. As the temperature dropped, they huddled closer together under the blanket. Hazel could feel Ryan's warmth, hear his steady breathing. The man she had hated was now the only thing between her and the terrifying wilderness. Morning came with bright sunlight filtering through the trees. Hazel woke to find Ryan gone. "Ryan," she called out, panic rising in her chest. "Here." He emerged from the forest carrying branches and berries. "I found a stream half a mile east. These berries are safe to eat." They ate a small breakfast of protein bars and berries. Hazel's whole body ached, covered in bruises, but she was alive. "We should try to get to higher ground," Ryan suggested. "Maybe we can see civilization or get a phone signal." They hiked for hours through dense forest. Hazel's remaining heel broke, so she had to walk barefoot. Every step hurt. Without a word, Ryan took off his torn suit jacket and ripped it into strips, wrapping them around her feet. "Thank you," she said softly. His dark eyes met hers. "You shouldn't have to thank me for basic human decency, Hazel." They climbed higher and higher. Hazel's white fitted shirt clung to her with sweat. Her long blonde hair stuck to her neck and face. She had never been so uncomfortable. "Tell me something," Ryan said as they walked. "Why do you hate me so much?" Hazel stopped walking. "You really don't know. I know I'm demanding, I push people hard, but you treat me like I'm not even human." The words exploded out of her. "For 3 years I've killed myself for you, worked every holiday, every weekend, every night. I've missed my own life for your company, and you've never once said thank you. Never looked at me like I mattered." Ryan's face had gone pale. "Last year I worked for 48 hours straight on that Tokyo presentation," Hazel continued, her voice shaking. "No sleep. Just coffee and work, and when you presented it, when those investors loved it, you took all the credit. You didn't mention me even once." "Hazel, no, let me finish. You want to know the worst part. I admired you when I first started. I thought you were brilliant and driven, someone I could learn from, but you're just cold, empty. And I hate that I wasted 3 years hoping you might see me as something more than your assistant." Tears streamed down her dirty face. Ryan looked like she had slapped him. "You're right," he said hoarsely, "about everything." They reached a rocky cliff by afternoon. Below them stretched endless green forest. No roads, no buildings, nothing but trees for miles and miles. "No phone signal. We're completely lost," Hazel whispered. Ryan's jaw tightened. "We'll make it through this, I promise you." On the climb back down, Hazel's makeshift shoes slipped on wet rocks. She fell hard, her injured shoulder slamming into a tree trunk. "Hazel!" Ryan was beside her instantly, his hand steadying her. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, I just—" But when she tried to move her arm, white-hot pain shot through her shoulder. She cried out. Ryan gently examined it. "I think you dislocated it in the crash and we didn't realize. We need to pop it back in." "What? No, no way." "Hazel, listen to me." His hands cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. "I know it's going to hurt like hell, but if we don't fix this, infection could set in. Do you trust me?" She looked into his eyes, those dark, intense eyes that had always been so cold and distant. But now they were warm, concerned, almost gentle. "I don't know if I trust you," she admitted. "Fair enough, but I need you to trust me right now. Just for this moment." Hazel closed her eyes and nodded. Ryan counted to 3. Then there was a sickening pop and blinding, terrible pain. Hazel screamed, tears pouring down her face. But Ryan held her through it. He pulled her against his chest, one hand tangled in her long blonde hair, whispering apologies over and over until her sobs finally subsided. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're so brave, Hazel, so incredibly brave." When she finally pulled back, exhausted from the pain, she saw tears in Ryan's eyes, too. That evening back at camp, Ryan built up the fire while Hazel rested. Her shoulder felt better now, just a dull ache instead of that sharp agony. "Here." Ryan handed her his dress shirt. "Sleep in this, it's cleaner than yours." Hazel looked down at her ruined, white-fitted shirt, now brown with dried blood and dirt. "What will you wear?" "I'll be fine." She took the shirt and changed behind a tree. Ryan's shirt was huge on her, hanging almost to her knees, but it was clean and warm and smelled like him. When she came back to the fire, Ryan was staring at the flames, shirtless. His body was lean and muscular, covered in bruises from the crash. But what caught her attention was a long scar running down his left side. "What happened?" Hazel asked gently, sitting beside him. Ryan touched the scar without thinking. "Car accident when I was 16. My father was driving drunk." His voice was empty. "My mother and little sister were in the car. They didn't survive." Hazel's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God." "Ryan, after that I was alone. My father went to prison. I went into foster care. I was 16 with nothing and no one." He finally looked at her. "So I promised myself I would never be weak again, never need anyone, never let anyone close enough to hurt me. So you built walls." "Yes, I worked every second of every day. I built a company. Made money, had success, but I forgot how to be a person." His voice cracked. "Hazel, everything you said today was right. I saw how hard you worked, how dedicated you were, and instead of appreciating it, I just took and took and took, because acknowledging you meant seeing you. And seeing you meant feeling something. And feelings were dangerous. Why are you telling me this now? Because when that plane started going down, all I could think was that we were both going to die, and you were going to die hating me, and I couldn't." He stopped, his voice breaking completely. "I couldn't stand it." Hazel felt tears rolling down her cheeks. This broken, vulnerable man was so different from the cold boss she thought she knew. "I don't hate you," she said softly. "I never really hated you. I was hurt and angry, but I didn't hate you. You should hate me, maybe, but I don't." Ryan looked at her with such raw emotion in his eyes. "If we get out of this, when we get out of this," Hazel corrected him. A small smile touched his lips. "When we get out of this, I want to be better. I want to be the man you thought I was when you first started working for me." That night was even colder. They lay close together under the thermal blanket, no longer on opposite sides of the fire. Ryan's arm was around Hazel's shoulders, careful of her injury. Her head rested against his bare chest. "Tell me about your sister," Ryan said quietly. "The one whose birthday you missed." So Hazel told him everything. About Emma, who was 21 and studying art in college. About their mother who had MS and needed constant care and expensive treatment. About how Hazel's salary paid for everything, which was why she could never quit no matter how badly Ryan treated her. "You're incredible," Ryan said when she finished. "Taking care of your whole family. Working yourself to death for them, and I never even knew, I never asked. You never asked anyone about their lives." "I know, but I'm asking now. Tell me more, tell me everything." So she did. In the darkness, with stars visible through the trees and the fire burning low, Hazel told Ryan about her dreams of traveling to Paris, her love of old black and white movies, her fear of spiders, her secret passion for painting watercolors, and Ryan listened, really listened. He asked questions, laughed at her funny stories, shared his own. Hazel learned that Ryan loved jazz music, but only listened alone in his apartment, that he taught himself to code at age 12, that he was terrified of failing, that sometimes he stood at his office window at night wondering if building an empire was worth being so lonely. "You don't have to be lonely," Hazel whispered into the darkness. Ryan's arms tightened around her. "I'm starting to understand that." On the third day, they woke to rain, cold, heavy rain that soaked through their shelter and killed their fire. "We need better shelter," Ryan said, worry clear in his voice. "You're shivering." They packed up their few supplies and started moving through the forest. Hazel's feet were torn and bleeding. Her shoulder throbbed. Now she was soaking wet and freezing cold. Ryan's white dress shirt that she wore clung to her body, completely see-through. Ryan gave her his undershirt too, layering her as much as possible. He was left wearing only his torn dress pants, his skin covered in goosebumps from the cold. "You'll freeze to death," Hazel protested through chattering teeth. "I'll be fine, just stay close to me." They walked for what felt like hours through the freezing rain. Hazel started stumbling, her vision going blurry. She was so cold, so tired, her body was shutting down. "Hazel, Hazel, stay with me." Ryan's voice sounded far away. "Just need to rest for a minute." "No, you can't rest. Come on, stay awake." Ryan swept her up into his arms and kept walking, ignoring her weak protests. Hazel drifted in and out of consciousness. She was aware of Ryan's heartbeat against her ear. His labored breathing. His voice talking to her constantly, desperately. Stay with me, Hazel. Tell me about your favorite movie. Come on, talk to me. What's your favorite food? Where would you travel first if you could go anywhere? Hazel, please, please keep your eyes open. Finally, through the rain, Ryan spotted something. A small cave in a hillside. Barely more than a hole in the rocks, but it was dry. He carried Hazel inside and laid her down carefully. Her lips were blue. Her whole body shook violently with cold. Hypothermia, Ryan muttered to himself. He quickly pulled off all of Hazel's wet clothes, then wrapped her in the thermal blanket. After just a second of hesitation, he stripped off his own soaking wet pants and climbed under the blanket with her, pulling her against his body. What are you doing? Hazel's voice was barely a whisper. Body heat. It's the fastest way to warm you up. Just trust me. Hazel was too cold to argue. She pressed against Ryan's warmth, and he held her tight, rubbing her arms and back to get her blood flowing. Don't you dare die on me, he whispered fiercely into her hair. Not now. Not after I finally found you. Found me? Hazel mumbled through numb lips. I've been your assistant for 3 years. No, I saw your resume, I saw you work, but I didn't see you, the real you, not until now. His voice broke. And I can't lose you, do you hear me? I can't lose you now. Slowly, gradually, warmth returned to Hazel's body. The violent shivering stopped. Her eyes focused on Ryan's face, just inches from hers in the darkness of the cave. Why do you care? She asked. Why now? Ryan's hand came up to cup her cheek, his thumb brushing across her skin. Because I'm falling in love with you. I think maybe I have been for a long time, but I was too scared and too broken to admit it. Hazel's breath caught in her throat. Ryan, you don't have to say anything. I know I don't deserve. Hazel cut him off by pressing her lips to his. The kiss was gentle at first, careful and tentative. But then Ryan's hand slid into her long blonde hair, and Hazel's arms wrapped around his neck, and the kiss deepened into something desperate and real. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Ryan rested his forehead against hers. I've been so blind, he whispered. Every single day you walked into my office, you were sunshine and warmth and everything good in the world, and I treated you like you were nothing. But Hazel, you're everything. You're brave and kind and brilliant and so beautiful it hurts to look at you. I'm so sorry it took a plane crash for me to wake up and see it. Hazel was crying again, but these were different tears. I've been attracted to you since my first day. I hated that I was because you were. Such a jerk, she laughed through her tears. But underneath that cold exterior, you're this broken, beautiful person who just needed someone to see the real you. Do you see me now? I see you. All of you, they held each other in that cave while rain pounded outside. 2 broken people finding healing in each other's arms. 2 lost souls finally finding home. The next morning, the rain had stopped. They came out of the cave wrapped in the thermal blanket together to see the most beautiful sunrise. The sky was painted gold and pink and orange over the green forest. It's beautiful, Hazel breathed. You're beautiful, Ryan said, looking at her instead of the sky. They were gathering their scattered things when they heard it, the distant sound of helicopter blades cutting through the air. There, Ryan pointed to the sky, waving his arms frantically. They ran back toward the crash site, both of them shouting and waving. The helicopter circled once, then started coming down. We're going home, Hazel whispered. Ryan pulled her close and kissed her forehead. Together, we're going home together. 6 months later, Hazel walked into the Cooper Industries building. Her long blonde hair flowed freely down her back. She wore a white fitted shirt and black pencil skirt, but this time they were perfectly clean and new. She took the elevator to the top floor and walked straight into Ryan's office. But she didn't stop at the assistant's desk anymore. She had her own office now. Ryan looked up. From his computer, and his whole face lit up with the biggest smile. Hey you, hey yourself. Hazel walked around his desk and Ryan pulled her into his lap, kissing her softly. How was the meeting with your new assistant? She asked. She's good, professional, competent, Ryan grinned. But she's nothing compared to you. After they were rescued, Ryan had kept every promise. He went to therapy to deal with his trauma. He learned how to be vulnerable and open. He promoted Hazel to vice president of operations, a position she had earned years ago but had been denied. They started dating officially 2 months after the crash, slowly and carefully building something real and lasting. My mom wants to know if you're coming to dinner on Sunday, Hazel said, playing with his shirt collar. Wouldn't miss it. Your sister promised to show me her new paintings. Emma had been suspicious of Ryan at first, protective of her sister, but Ryan had won her over by being genuine and real, and by treating Hazel like the queen she was. I have something for you, Ryan said, reaching into his desk drawer. He pulled out 2 framed photos. The first was professional, a picture of them at a recent charity event looking elegant and polished. But the second photo made Hazel catch her breath. It was from their rescue. They were filthy, exhausted, wrapped together in that thermal blanket. But they were smiling at each other with such pure love and relief that it was almost painful to see. I never want to forget what it took to wake me up, Ryan said softly. What I almost lost because I was too scared to feel anything. Hazel kissed him again, deeper this time. You'll never lose me. I promise. You promise. I promise. As the sun set over the city, Ryan and Hazel sat together in his office. No longer boss and assistant, no longer lost in the wilderness. Just 2 people who had crashed and burned and found love in the wreckage.